how do you know that that is actually going to come out? That bundle of stuff.
So I can see that the strings are attached at that end, these lines, and I know they're attached at this end. So all I do is, with the assistance of the helper here, putting some weight on it, I can put some tension in these lines, and I can look along them and see that there's no knots or snags, and everything's where it is. Part of it is also just experience, because I've jumped this bit of kit quite a lot, so I know in a minute what I'm going to do is I'm now going to look down into it, and I know from experience where these lines should sit.
So you just do this by straight or feeling?
Yes, really. And the other thing is, sorry.
How often do the lines have to be replaced?
It depends on the conditions that you're jumping in. Every few hundred jumps, roughly.
Right, okay.
Because when you open this bit of kit called a slider, slides down the lines. What this is designed to do is strangle it and stop it opening, which sounds a bit weird, but if it wasn't there, this would open really, really quickly. Yeah, and I'd go from 120 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour in no time at all. And so this basically, as it slides down the lines, it lets the rest of the canopy open up. But that sliding creates friction every time. Yeah. So the heat that goes into these lines, it actually shrinks or expands them a little bit, and it wears on them.
Nylon braid.
Yeah, basically. There's a few different materials, but all we look for on here is, if you look at that, you can see that actually looks still pretty pristine. There's very, very, very tiny marks on it, burrs, and you just, again, keep an eye on it every time. If it starts to look a little bit frayed, guess what? Get rid of them, get a new set on. If you're jumping out in sunny conditions, in the desert, Arizona, places like that, lines don't last anywhere near as long because sand gets into them. It's much more abrasive. Jumping here, grass, English weather, you'll get a lot longer out of a set. But all I do now is I look down into this canopy, and I know that each set of lines is about where it should be. So then all I'm going to do is we're going to take the nose of the canopy and make sure that looks right. So this is what's called a 9 cell. It's got 9 of these pockets of air. So that's the front. So as you fly in the air, it goes in there and it fills that up and creates. That's the left-hand edge one. So there should be 9 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there's only 8. Right, one's missing. Check again. Just give it a bit of a shake. 1, I think I missed it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. Right. So that is the nose of the canopy. So I want that down here, and I look inside here. Gravity is your friend. Give that a shake. Because I've jumped this canopy quite a lot, those folds have they've automatically gone where I want them to be because it's been packed before. So I can now just shove that between my knees.
And you only ever pack your own?
I'd let any of these guys pack it. I wouldn't let anyone else.
Me, for example.
Normally I would pack my own. It would be an unusual circumstance if I didn't. So if the nose is there, then that means this must be the tail. And again, from experience, I can see looking at that, but none of these lines are crossed over. That does all look right to me, so I'm actually fine with that. All I'm going to do now is push this slider in. It's important that this bit of fabric goes right the way in here, because that's going to slow down the opening. And gather these bits together, so they're the 4 corners, and now I'm just going to find the tail of the canopy and make this look neat.
So when the canopy opens, you're going from 120 miles an hour to...
not many.
Not many.
About 20.
Is there an incredible pull on you, or is it
it's...
Because it's a gravitational slowdown, isn't it?
It's kind of a slingshot effect almost, because you're going from that position to that, so you get a bit of a forward surge. You do get a bit of pressure on. One of the common misconceptions, everyone thinks parachutes work. They also think you've got straps over your shoulders, which is true. That's not where the weight is. The weight's all on the harness around your legs, so it's almost like going into a climbing harness or something like that. Where have I got to? Looking for the tail. Right. So on this canopy. So here you've got a warning label. Helpfully, I know that's the middle of the tail. They deliberately put the warning label right there for that reason. So I'm just going to redo this. Just make sure that's right. And then what we do is we take the tail, and then I'm going to use this as a wrapper, basically wrap the whole canopy up in here.
My goodness.
Just like that.
Wow.
And now we're starting to get into a condition where we can get it into the line. Then we take the back edge. I'm just going to fold this up with it. It's not particularly scientific. Give that a few twists. So key thing is that's all nice and symmetrical, and now we're just going to put this on the ground. So let's just kick that bag out the way. That goes. Right, no, you're absolutely fine. Right, next bit. It's like a really small parachute. So that's what we chuck out in the first place to deploy this. What you'll notice right now is that isn't really catching a lot of, in fact it has been, it's what we call these are collapsible. So you basically have to pull because there's a bit of string that runs inside here to make it work. When we were flying in, I don't know if you noticed, but this wasn't acting as a brake anymore, it collapsed. Once it's done its job, the tension on the string in here comes off and it collapses down so it's no longer catching air. And that's just so we can go faster. Just going faster is more fun. Literally. But it's very important that you remember to reset it, because if it's still in that collapse state next time I jump it, I'm going to have a problem because I'm going to be looking up at that, not really doing anything. So that's a bad day up. Good. Right, my helmet. You can stay there if you like, but now I've got it on the ground, you're good. But thanks very much for that. That's fine. That's a good view. I'm coming down that end in a bit. So here's our bag that whole thing needs to go in. Very, very scientific bit of kit. Yes, they are literally rubber bands. I'll show you what they're for in a minute. I am good for bungees, actually. Yeah, we call them bungees because everyone in the military calls things like weird names. I don't really know why. They are elastic bands. So we need to get that into a shape to go in there. You ever try getting a sleeping bag back into its container? Yeah, that's easy. So, the other key thing is I'm making sure that nothing ever happens with these lines, because I know if those lines are attached at that end and attached at this end and they're straight, well, they can't have knots in them. I really don't want any slack in there at any point because not so bad. All we do with this now is push all of the air out of it. It's designed to hold air, so that's difficult. The secret is to go from this end to that end and never ever let it go once you've started. So you take the edges, roll them at the side, and then I'm just going to basically try and make a sausage shape out of this. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And basically you do a little bit more at the side each time and go. But you'll notice I've always got something on one end and something on the other end now to stop the air going back in. So I reckon that is about the width of that bag, so that's a start with the right width. And then to get it down into size, basically we just do like an S-fold. All that air goes out of it. Helps if you've got bigger hands. He's good. And then we're just going to slide one side of this bag on. Again, notice I'm never ever ever letting go of it, because if I do, all the air will go back in and I'll have to start again.
The new elastic bands every time?
Don't need to. They either break, and they quite often do break, and that's fine. I'll show you why in a minute. If they don't, they're fine. It's because all they're for is to hold these lines. So I'm going to stand this bag up, squeeze some more air out, and then my last little bit just folds in there. This is the sort of thing they used to put on the Generation game. Do you remember that show? Right, to hold this in place, your elastic bands, your bungees, one goes through here, and all I'm now going to do, the other thing these elastic bands do is they're going to stow these lines nice and neatly now. So basically I just take a bite of that line, that's not going anywhere, same on the other side. Now what we need to do is make these lines nice and tidy. If you think about it in reverse sequence, when this comes out of that container, these lines, you don't want them all like this because they're all going to be all over the place. So all we do is going backwards and forwards across here now, is I'm just going to use these elastic bands, bungees, and all we do is literally just whack a stow on each one and going backwards and forwards across here, stow them in place. So yeah, so when it comes to deployment, sometimes they might snap, they might not, doesn't really matter, they are literally elastic bands.
Oh, I didn't realise what they were for, I do now. Get it.
So we can work our way back up here.
So how long have bungee's been used to rule the waves?
Oh, forever. People have tried to reinvent them, and it's pointless because they work. And I'm quite fond of the expression, if it's stupid and it works, then it's not stupid. And keep it simple. Right, my friend, you can move now, please, because I'm now going to put this in there. Thank you very much for your help. Awesome, gives a fist bump. Round of applause to my assistant. Hold on. Right. This now needs to go in here. Another highly technical bit of kit. It's literally a bit of ribbon. I'll show you what that's for. So, very important we don't twist this or anything, because then you're going to have it all. So we just move it up and over to the bottom of our container, get our pilot sheet out of the way, and then we just make this tidy. So these things that connect the lines to the container, they rise from the container to the lines, so we call them risers. It's a very simple sport, and they've just got a cover that goes over to hold those in place. There we go, and they sit nice and flat here. Same on the other side, because this is symmetrical. That one goes. And then if you look here, so all we're going to do now is this is going to go into our, we call this a container, the backpack that it goes into. Flake down the spare lines in there. Literally just pops in. And then all we do to close it, there's a bit of string here. This pulls through the bottom, top, left and right flaps. So through the bottom one.
Stupid question. What is there such a thing as a ripcord?
So right, ripcord is a different system of deployment. Yeah, so yeah, there is. So
what does it use?
I'll show you now.
Oh, right.
So on this system, this is all held in place by that metal pin there. So all I'm doing is I'm going to pull this loop through and whack that pin through it.
It's an incredibly simple system. But
it is, but it works. It's tried and tested.
Simplicity always. Okay.
So on a ripcord parachute, it looks very similar. Just get rid of that. Instead of, so this pilot chute, if you imagine it goes away, pulls that pin,
pulls that out,
all that
and
pops
the whole
off.
thing comes out.
On the ripcord ones, you've still got, you haven't got this. You've got a piece of Teflon cable instead of this pin, and the Teflon cable is connected to the handle that you pull instead. And instead of it being a pilot chute that you throw away, there's one that goes in here, and it's got a big spring in it, so it just springs off your back instead. It's just a different way of deploying. We quite often put trainees on ripcords. And the reason for that is, you won't believe this, but there's video of it. Every now and then when someone's learning, they get a bit overwhelmed, and they reach and they go to pitch the pilot chute, and they keep hold of it. And because they're panicking, and they literally sit there going, what's happening? Whereas if there's a ripcord,
they don't have to.
It doesn't matter. You keep hold of that handle and it's already gone. So that's the reason.
Safety first.
And then all we're going to do is pop this away in a little pocket at the bottom. So I've got some spare bridle here. And all we do with this is make it off around, check it for damage, that's fine. And then all I do is make it into a half moon, fold it in half, and then we can stow this away.
And what's the cost of that equipment?
Full system, new, these days you're looking at about £10,000.
Yeah.
We don't tend to skimp on equipment, we only use the best stuff.
Your life's worth a little bit more than £10,000.
Because this also has things like, sorry, that's pilot chute just goes away there. Hide away that bit.
Just as you're about to jump, you deploy the drone parachute.
Yeah, that drone chute, that pilot chute. So there you go. And that is one part parachute.
Thank you very much.
In reverse, you pull that and it will unfold. That's fine, that ribbon. Yeah, the other thing we've got is these things, this is an automatic activation device. So this is actually two parachutes. So you've seen the one I've just packed. I've got an entire spare one in here as well. So that if something goes wrong with that one, I can release it, cut it away,
and you hope never to lose
and I've got a spare, yeah. touch wood, I've never had to so far, but you know, it's there if you need it. This automatic device is connected to a spring load, to a loop that's holding in place a spring-loaded system. So the reserve parachute has got a spring-loaded parachute. If I was knocked out or had an incident in free fall, so I'm literally unconscious, this thing measures exactly what altitude I'm at, what my airspeed is. It takes hundreds and hundreds of measurements a second when you turn it on, so it knows exactly when you're in the aircraft and all the rest of it. And basically it knows if I'm going more than about 80 miles an hour and I'm at 750 feet, something's gone really badly wrong, and that will automatically cut that and deploy the reserve. So even if you are completely incapable of reaching a handle or doing anything, that will still go off and you'll still land under a canopy. Really good bit of kit. That costs £1,000 on its own. I would not be without one. I've got them in my personal kit. We don't go anywhere. Spend the money. Thanks, Cyprus. Cyprus, the company that make them. They always hook us up with good t-shirts. So, yeah. So, ready to go again? Do you want to try it on?
Ready to go tomorrow.
All right, take your backpack off. Go on. So you can't. How old are you, young man? 9. Right. So you've got a few years until you can actually try this on your own in the UK. But yeah, you'll be able to go. What do you reckon? Does that suit you? I reckon you'd be good with that.
Something you want to do?
Could you just kneel down? I'll take a picture.
Is that all right? Take a picture?
Yeah.
No worries at all. Good to meet you. Yeah. Mega.
Thanks very much.
Awesome. Right.
Thanks very much, pal. Well done, Sam.
Cool.